Έχουμε χρόνο για 2 ερωτήσεις. Να πιάσουμε λίγο και το κέντρο, γιατί πιάσαμε αριστερά-δεξιά. Παρακαλώ και μετά η κυρία. Ναι. Μισό λεπτό για το μικρόφωνο.
Γεια σας. Θέλω να κάνω μια ερώτηση σχετικά με τη διεύρυνση και όχι μόνο με το θέμα της Τουρκίας, αλλά γενικότερα για το μέλλον της διεύρυνσης. Υποθέτουμε ότι η Τουρκία καταφέρει να μπει μετά από 15 χρόνια στην Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση ή 20. Τότε ποια θα είναι... π.χ. θα μπορούσαμε να πούμε ότι η Κίνα ή ακόμα η Νότια Αφρική, κάποιο μέλος της Λατινικής Αμερικής θα μπορούσε, ας πούμε, να κάνει αίτηση στην Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση. Θα μπορούσατε να μας πείτε ποια είναι τα γεωγραφικά όρια της διεύρυνσης αυτή τη στιγμή που επικρατούν και κατά πόσο αυτό θα μπορέσει να επηρεάσει όχι μόνο την οικονομική, γιατί σίγουρα η οικονομική ολοκλήρωση θα επεκταθεί, αλλά κυρίως την πολιτική ολοκλήρωση, η οποία πρέπει να επιτευχθεί σε ευρωπαϊκό επίπεδο.
Well, as you know, it's not so much a geographical limitation as it is a value-based cooperation, that we say that those countries in Europe, it says in the treaties, but Europe, of course, depending on how you exactly define Europe, but it is more about sort of the political will and the possibilities to make sure that we have a good way of functioning, because I think that in the end, already today you can say with 27 member states, with the existing treaties, it is like trying to squeeze an extra large body into the suit of a small or medium. And it will become increasingly difficult. And then if you are not efficient in the decision making, then citizens will also say this is useless. Why do we have this European Union? They cannot take decisions. So that's why institutional reform is necessary. But in practice, of course, member states are free to say that if you share the same values, if you are in sort of a manageable, within a manageable distance, you could join if we see that this would help our overall purposes. But I don't see why anybody in South America would want to join. And I think it would be practically very, very difficult as well. But it is really about making sure that we share the same values, that we have the same ideas about how to develop our societies.
Κυρία πίσω και ερωτήσεις, ναι.
Firstly, I would like to thank you for your presence here. You talked about the need for European culture to be created. In the area of security, there has been a consensus for the creation of a European strategic culture as a mean for EU effectiveness in the area of security. This was reflected also in 2003 with the launching of European Security Strategy. To your opinion, to what extent has a European strategic culture been achieved, and what else can be done regarding the same?
That's a very difficult question to give. It's not really my responsibility either to assess if this has been successful or not. I think that still the area where most member states say that we are weak has to do with the fact that when we cannot speak with one voice towards Russia, for example, on energy, or towards the United States on other issues, of course we are much weaker. Then Europe, despite the fact that we share the same values and we have a sort of established a good cooperation, if other partners are capable of breaking up our solidarity and make us go away in different directions, of course we are much weaker. Our influence will also be much weakened. So I think that this will be the big challenge to Europe also for the future, to be able to speak with one voice, to coordinate our actions and hopefully be able to act accordingly. I think the discussions we've had with the African Union, for example, has been very important, and we've learned a lot from that, and I hope that they've got something that they can bring with them as well. And when we can coordinate our energy policy as well, so that we can negotiate with Russia. Of course, we will be stronger. That's how I see the main challenge.
Okay, I think we're coming to an end.
Well, it's very warm with this big spotlight. Yeah. But now we have started the debate, so it's much more.
If you want, we can continue this.
I don't know how much time we have.
But I have seen also that many journalists have come.
But a few, maybe a couple of more questions.
Okay. Οι τελευταίες δύο. Σηκώστε χέρι να δούμε πόσα είναι. 1, 2, 3, 4. Να διαλέξουμε μια φοιτήτρια και ένα φοιτητή. Παρακαλώ εσείς.
First of all, I would like to ask, last year or 2 years ago, France and Holland voted against the European Constitution. Angela Merkel noticed the importance that the Europeans should have a common strategy and constitution. What do you think?
Yes, I think that this meeting now, the summit in Berlin, was a very important chance for leaders to meet and to say, okay, we have now agreed that it is the end of the reflection period, that we now have to sit down and start to talk about the content of the treaty, and they have established also a timetable. So they said we should aim at finding a solution before the European parliamentary elections in 2009. And that's a very important step forward. And then, of course, I think that for the German presidency, they will probably have to use some diplomacy, quiet diplomacy, but they also have to engage with citizens to explain what is going on. So they should also have an open ears and eyes, and really take into account, engage in a debate with citizens. I hope that we will find a solution, and it's necessary to find a solution to the institutional challenges that we have.
Thank you very much.
Υπήρχε μία στο βάθος, κάποιο χέρι είχα δει στο βάθος. Ναι, το δικό σας.
Καλημέρα. Όσον αφορά στη συμμετοχή των πολιτών στη διαμόρφωση των πολιτικών της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης, αναφέρθηκε πριν το Plan D, το οποίο όμως ανάγεται στη σφαίρα της επικοινωνιακής πολιτικής της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης. Θα ήθελα να ρωτήσω αν υπάρχει σχεδιασμός για παρόμοια προγράμματα, τα οποία καθιστούν πιο ενεργή και πιο άμεση τη συμμετοχή των πολιτών στη διαμόρφωση των πολιτικών της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης. Ευχαριστώ.
Yes, we have not only plans, we have already started to do a number of things. We started with this, with an internal action plan that has to do with how the Commission works, that we have to be better with using a language that people can understand, how we use our representation offices also as meeting places. We have then continued with the so-called Plan D, which means that, for example, for the first time we engage with national parliaments, because it's necessary for political parties in every member state also to understand European and participate in the European debate. But we also have citizens' consultations where we bring together, not politicians, but sort of citizens from all member states to sit down and talk about what they want the European Union to do. And we have the white paper on communication, which also discusses, for example, what is the role of the audiovisual media? What about radio and television and the internet? How can we make sure that we communicate better with citizens through using audiovisual media? What should we do with the legal basis for what we are doing on communication? Shouldn't we give a right to citizens to know what is going on? A right to information and the right to have a say. So these are just some examples of what we've been doing already, and I will come up with a kind of summary of all of this and what we've heard from the consultations in June. So I will present that also to the Commission and to Europe.
Thank you, Vice President. Να ευχαριστήσω θερμά την Αντιπρόεδρο της Ευρωπαϊκής Επιτροπής, να ευχαριστήσω θερμά όλους εσάς για την συμμετοχή σας, το ΕΚΕΜ, το Ελληνικό Κέντρο Ευρωπαϊκών Μελετών και τον καθηγητή, τον κύριο Ιφαντή, για την πολύ καλή οργάνωση που μπόρεσε και έφερε όλους τους φοιτητές, αλλά και όλους τους συνεργάτες βεβαίως του κυρίου Ιφαντή. Να πω δύο πράγματα πρακτικά, επειδή σε 5 λεπτά περνάμε στη συνέντευξη τύπου. Φυσικά και θα μείνετε μαζί μας, γιατί η Επιτροπή δεν φροντίζει μόνο για την πνευματική σας τροφή, αλλά φροντίζει και για την γαστρονομική. Υπάρχει μετά catering για όλους μας, για όλους σας, γιατί εμείς πρέπει να φύγουμε στο Υπουργείο Εξωτερικών. Το μόνο που θα ζητούσα είναι από τα προνομιούχα τραπέζια τις δύο πρώτες σειρές, το επόμενο 5 λεπτό να αλλάξουμε για να μπορέσουν να έρθουν οι εκπρόσωποι του τύπου για να ακολουθήσει η συνέντευξη τύπου. Σας ευχαριστώ θερμά και πάλι.
Maybe they can just turn off the big spotlights there. I think if we can just turn off the big ones then.
Σε κατάλαβα, δεν θυμάται ποιο είναι.